Retired Special Forces Operative Jack Johnson and his pregnant wife Morgan are heading out to visit Morgan's brother Joe when the town sheriff Miller stops by. He reminds them of the offer on their house, noting that it's good money, but Morgan needs more time to consider.
We'll let you know.
She wonders who the client is, but Miller refuses to say.
Does it matter?
So Jack makes it clear they are still thinking about it. Sheriff Miller subtly warns them not to take too long before leaving.
Ma'am?
The entire interaction was strange, but Jack blows it off. They spend a few days with Joe and his family. Morgan tells them about the offer on the house which they are considering, because the town they've moved to just feels off. There are not many folks like her around, and the sheriff there gives her a bad vibe.
That guy's an Uncle Tom.
But they plan to give it another month or two to see how they like it there. They too soon head back home. Along the way they are almost cut off by a truck carrying a Confederate flag, but they eventually make it home. Morgan is now leaning towards selling and Jack agrees. It's just a house, but home is wherever she is. Jack grabs the bags from the car while Morgan heads inside, only to realize the power is out. Before Jack can head in, his drunk neighbor Earl stops by, and in his drunken state he hints that something is wrong inside the house.
They said they were coming. What are you talking about?
Inside, Morgan comes face to face with some thugs. When Jack rushes back inside, he is attacked and knocked down. The gang turns out to be representing the anonymous buyer of the house, but now they plan to take it and plan to get rid of the two.
I'd like to report an emergency.
We don't want to buy the house anymore.
Morgan begs them to let them leave, but the men are past that point. They force Morgan to her knees before one thug, Leon, ties a rope around her neck, dragging her across the floor. Morgan stabs him with a blade, so Leon shoots her dead right there. Jack finally comes to, holding Morgan's lifeless body. Wasting no time, Jack tackles the last man, but the others escape. As police lights approach the home, Jack shoots the man dead. For his actions that night, Jack is locked up.
You used a reasonable force.
Miller insists he used unreasonable force during the attack as the last man, he casually calls by his first name Michael, was outside when Jack killed him. Jack can't believe what he is hearing, as the sheriff seems more focused on the dead perpetrator than his wife.
You were outside when you killed Michael. You have a duty to retreat outside.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Leon and the surviving thug go to report to their boss, and Leon's father Bastian, who is pissed as Michael was his second son.
I'm sorry, Dad.
The group was supposed to talk to Jack, maybe rough him up a bit, but not to kill anyone. He reminds them about power and how it needs to be controlled. Michael knew that, but Leon is gradually pissing him off and turning out to be a disappointment.
Michael understood. Just get him out of here.
He gets tired of looking at them and orders them out. Back at the station, Miller goes over Jack's file, where it's revealed that he joined the military at 18, later went on to become Special Forces until he was dishonorably discharged 3 years ago.
Care to explain what happened? Says here you disobeyed orders.
His file says he disobeyed orders and got some of his soldiers killed. There were 2 girls, he got them out, but his actions to save their lives put his brothers in a bad position. But enough of his past. Jack wants to know the fate of the men that killed his wife.
What about the fuckers? They killed my wife.
But Miller simply tells him they'll get their day in court. Jack wants to deal with them his way.
Let me take care of them.
But Miller can't have a Special Forces soldier out on a manhunt in his town, reminding Jack this isn't Afghanistan. Before he leaves, Miller makes it clear Jack will be charged for murder and face prison time. At Jack's trial, Bastian's right-hand man Charles shows up, and he and Jack briefly make eye contact before he is led away. His lawyer informs him he is being offered a plea deal, which is the best he will get since his wife was not of their ethnic background.
She was black.
Jack is sentenced to 6 years in prison. Bastian has men on the inside that can get to him, but decides to let Jack rot in prison. When he gets out, they will be waiting for him. 6 years later, Jack is released and Joe is there waiting for him.
Size you, man.
After getting food, Joe drives him home. Joe offers to stay with him for a few days, but Jack swears he is fine and thanks Joe for his help. Inside, every emotion comes flooding back to him as he stares at the spot Morgan lost her life, the carpet still stained in her blood. His pain soon turns into rage, and he goes over to Earl's RV.
Nice place.
He cannot just sit around doing nothing, and demands to know Leon's location, and learns he hangs out at the Wishbone bar. If he wants to go to the top, he is looking for Bastion, the man who controls everything in town. Jack races off towards town and arrives at the Wishbone bar that night, the place crawling with bikers. He orders a beer at the bar. He doesn't see Leon but notices some guys eyeing him, so Jack goes to sit in a seat he figures out belongs to them. Like clockwork, the men come over and one thug, Mouse, demands that he get out of their spot, but Jack plays it cool.
You can't sit there.
He claims he's waiting for his friends Leon and Derek, but Mouse isn't messing around, warning him to leave while he can. So Jack calmly stands and hands his beer to Mouse before leaving the bar. A while later, Mouse is ready to head home when Jack ambushes and chokes him out before throwing him into the back of his car. Jack plans to go to war and calls Joe for the address to his arsenal of weapons.
You be careful, Jack.
Joe offers him help, but Jack plans to handle everything himself. Jack locates the address where the massive stash of weapons are stored, and the sight of them puts a smile on Jack's face. Jack gets back home and Charles is there waiting for him. Charles approaches,
Long time no see, Jack.
subtly warning him that he should leave town and enjoy his freedom while he can. He wonders what's in the truck and Jack invites him over to check.
Why don't you come over and have a look?
But Charles knows he is trying to bait him to enter the home, so he can use the stand your ground law to get rid of him. Jack doesn't hide it, he blatantly agrees, so Charles tells him to take care until they meet again real soon.
We'll do this again.
Jack straps Mouse to a chair, but he refuses to tell Jack anything. Calm as ever, Jack picks up a torch, wondering if he should start with his balls or his face. Mouse continues to act tough until Jack prepares to burn his eyes out, begging him to let them talk.
Let's talk.
Soon, one of Leon's thugs' phones rings, and he rushes with it to the boss's son. It's Jack, who's been waiting 6 years to have a conversation with him, mockingly asking if Michael had an open casket.
I guess there wasn't much left of his face.
They took everything away from him, but now he plans to return the favor. Leon tries to play tough, threatening to end Jack brutally, so Jack reminds him where to find him. Charles is posted out, a rifle scanning Jack's house, with orders from Bastion to kill Mouse and bring Jack to him. Inside, Mouse warns that Jack has no idea who he is messing with, but they're the ones who are underestimating him. In a surprising twist, Jack frees Mouse. The thug rushes to his car frantically, but Charles guns him down. Just then Leon and 2 thugs arrive, intending on repaying Jack for his earlier insults, but this act was not authorized by Bastion, who tells Charles to send him away. He fails to stop Leon though. One guy kicks open the door and gets deleted instantly. The second gets a shotgun blast to the face. But Charles saves Leon before he is taken out. He and Jack have a shootout inside the home. He tries to escape out the front door, but Jack forces them upstairs with gunfire, forcing them to use the window to escape the house. They speed away frantically, while Jack just casually begins to whistle a tune. Not in the least shaken. Leon is in pain after suffering a gunshot wound to the chest. Charles tries to keep him awake, but Leon soon passes out. Fuck! Fuck! Later, Jack sits as the cops photograph the crime scene. Miller knows what he is up to, but Jack reminds him he has a right to protect himself and his property. Miller warns that terrible things are coming, but nothing can be worse to Jack than watching Morgan die in front of him. Say he kills them all, then what? But Jack thinks maybe then he'll sell the house. Bastion's doctor barely manages to save Leon's life and get him stabilized. Realizing that things have gone too far, he decides that it's time to put an end to things. Jack is also preparing for a final showdown as he knows danger is on its way, setting up traps, hidden guns and booby traps using mines and C4, turning the home into a war zone. Soon, Bastion's small army of heavily armed and body armor-wearing men begin loading their weapons into vans. Jack hears banging on his door. It's Earl, who has brought him a home-cooked meal. Jack hesitantly takes it, then warns Earl not to stick around as things will get real bad real soon. After enjoying the meal, Jack calls Joe wanting to take him up on his earlier offer to help, and Joe is ready to give him a hand. That night, 2 van loads of men arrive at Jack's home led by Charles and begin to surround it. Jack has eyes on them. He waits until one of them trips a mine before gunning down a few from his window. Charles reminds the men Bastion wants him alive, but that will be near to impossible. The men manage to get the doors open, but are greeted by booby traps. Lowering their numbers before they even get eyes on Jack. The survivors carefully scan the house, counting each step as anything could be waiting for them. The house is dark, so one man goes to turn on the lights, but the bulbs were rigged to blow. Jack opens fire on the disoriented men before escaping as the men unload in his direction. One man tries chasing him up the stairs only to have his feet blown off by shotgun shells. The others follow after, but Jack snipes the first man, sending him tumbling back down. Miller gets the call about the shootout, and he and his deputy Jones race over to the house. Jones isn't feeling so good, scared out of his mind. Miller tells him to call on his training.
No, I didn't. Did you?
But Jones can't recall any of this in his training manual. Jack has suffered an injury to his leg, but quickly tapes it closed before pushing on. Charles calls Bastion. He thinks it's going to be impossible to bring Jack in alive, but Bastion insists. Charles tries pushing up the stairs, but Jack keeps him back with gunfire. Charles warns that this night will end with his death, but Jack died 6 years ago. Miller and Jones pull up outside. All this time Earl is watching the gun battle with his pistol ready, but can't just sit around any longer. He turns up dressed, dual-wielding 2 pistols, but manages to shoot one dying man before he is shot. Jones helps him inside, while Miller cautiously enters the house. Things are about to get way worse when Bastion sets out with another small army of men. Miller calls out to Jack but gets no response.
Jack!
He is shaking, scared out of his mind. Suddenly he is attacked by one of the injured thugs and a struggle breaks out over his gun, but Miller manages to blast him with his shotgun. Charles bursts in on Jack and manages to wrestle the gun away from him. The 2 trade strikes and Jack knocks him down, but Charles grabs a rifle and holds him at gunpoint, intending on taking him to Bastion, but Miller appears and holds Charles at gunpoint.
Have you been smoking crack cocaine?
Charles drops his gun, but swiftly stabs Miller multiple times, but Jack uses the chance to disarm and stab him in the shoulder. Charles pulls a grenade, but Miller blasts him out the window, and he lands on a mine blowing him to bits. Jack patches Miller up. He helps him outside where Jones warns that Bastion is on his way. Miller wants Jack to escape with them, but Jack isn't done, determined to put a stop to things tonight. Just then Joe pulls up, carrying a massive machine gun on his shoulder. Inside they prepare to make a last stand,
and you'll be fucking dead without me, so.
When Miller turns back up as his pride as a law enforcement officer won't allow him to leave them in danger. Soon, Bastion's small army arrives outside, with them a machine gun mounted on the back of a truck. Miller steps out to face Bastion, ordering him and his men to leave as they are about to break the law. Bastion ignores him, calling out to Jack telling him to come down and talk man to man, but Jack invites him inside if he wants to talk. Bastion demands that Miller do what he is being paid to do and arrest Jack, but Miller is done taking orders. He turns to walk away, but Bastion shoots him multiple times in the back. The hit squad then push on the house, but Jack begins mowing them down with the machine gun. The survivors burst inside, moving with tactical precision, but Jack hits them with smoke grenades and begins deleting them, moving like a shadow in the smoke. Meanwhile, Joe cuts down the remaining armed men outside, destroying their truck. Jack continues taking out the armed men. He makes it back upstairs where he and Joe fight off the incoming stream of men. Turns out Miller has survived. Jack wants Joe to get him help, and Joe initially refuses to leave Jack behind. But his vengeance is not yet complete with Bastian still alive. They throw smoke and Joe uses the cover to get to Miller, while Jack fights off a lone hitman and takes him out. Bastian then opens fire on the house, spraying the entire structure with bullets. He thinks Jack is dead and sends in his guys to finish him off. But Jack jumps into a bathtub and sets off the C4 explosives, decimating the entire house. Bastian jumps into his truck and speeds away, leaving Jack's fate unknown. By the next morning, Bastian has made it home. Jack shows up there injured but still alive, but Bastian shoots him multiple times, dropping him. It's Bastian's abused daughter that finally puts a bullet in his head, ending him. There's some entire scenes in there with her, but I was too lazy to write them. In the end, we see Joe and his wife laying flowers on Jack's grave, but Joe notices something a distance off and a smile flashes across his face. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, go ahead and hit that like button, drop a comment, and of course, subscribe for more recaps just like this. And hey, don't click away just yet. YouTube thinks you'll love one of these 2 videos popping up right here, so check them out next.